it's hard as a creator to just fully rely on other people. Never want to do that, and almost feels like this is somewhat like a 9 to 5 again, where it's like I am working for other people or other brands. Long term, it is harder to just rely fully on that, and I would say to try to look into other ways to like own your own businesses and own your own clientele, your own followers. And I feel like that would be everyone's focus should be if they have something to offer. What loyal fans mean versus inflated fans, like people who follow you versus people who will do anything for you. I think that's really important, especially in today's climate, just because there are so many people on social media. There's so many people, there's so many followers, there's so many everything. But how can you take advantage of those people in the good way? How can you take advantage of the attention that you have?
This is Michael Lee. He has amassed an incredible following across multiple YouTube channels and social platforms that are well into the millions of followers. As the oldest kid in his family, Michael's hatred of working at JOB inspired him to use his creativity and love of dance to build an online creator business as a teenager. Ever since, he has led his family to over 650 million views and is building a business with multiple streams of income that are not dependent on brand deals. In this episode, we're going to discuss where his hatred of having a job came from, how he has made a career out of being a viral dancer, why he turned being a creator into the family business, the investment he made in the future of his family business thanks to GigaStar, and the future of his and his family's income. Michael's story shows us that it doesn't matter how old you are or how crazy your dream may be, YouTube is the best place to start. The Funded YouTuber is brought to you by GigaStar. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the Funded YouTuber podcast. I'm so excited to talk with you about the business that you have building for yourself and for your family. Are you ready to dive in?
Yes, thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
Of course. So tell us first and foremost, what is it that you create on the internet?
Yeah, so I mainly create dance content, but I have expanded in the last few years, and I kind of honestly do everything. I have vlogs on my vlog channel, I have a family channel, I have a gaming channel, and I'm expanding into like larger long form content surrounding around dance and kind of like docu-style series. So yeah, I kind of do everything.
What was like your first foray into YouTube? Like, how did you get started?
That was like my North Star when I first started social media in general. I was watching a lot of content from all the early YouTubers like Ryan Higa, PewDiePie, Kev Jumba, all these G's, Smosh, and pretty much they kind of sparked something inside of me. I had a very entrepreneur innate spirit, and I felt like they were doing something that they loved, and I wanted to do the same, and I just didn't want to fall into that like 9 to 5 thing because I was like 13 14 at the time. So a year later, 2015, that's when I really decided to go all in on social media. And I started off just by posting dance videos. Did that, and after a year of just posting, some of my content went viral, and I grew a couple 100,000 followers. And at the time, that was like just a really big accomplishment, and it definitely sparked something inside of me to actually prove to me like, oh, this could be possible, you know. And it started off small. I had artists reach out to me and have me do like, I remember it was funny, they would have me dance to their song and I would charge them. I had like a little sheet I made up on like Illustrator at the time, and it was like 15 seconds was $15, 30 seconds was $30, 60 seconds was $60. It was crazy when I started getting these promos because in my head I was like, oh my god, people are working $8 an hour. I just made $30 in 30 seconds. So I was like I've made it. Like this is it. Like I can't wait to just keep going. So that happened, and then obviously my brand deals started happening a couple years later, and then just fast forwarding, my growth as a creator wasn't growing in terms of numbers, but my knowledge of how to create content, I was kind of almost just like prepping and getting ready for like whatever opportunity was coming. And in 2019, 4 years later, that's when TikTok really happened. And I hopped on the platform. I was already on it, but I kind of tried to focus my attention on it. And that first week I hopped back on with like the native content on all the, on that platform. It blew me up to 1 million followers in 1 week. And then that was my first 1 million followers I've ever had. So after that, I just felt like this was the next opportunity. And every week after that, like every day I was posting 4 to 8 times a day, and I was growing 1 million followers a week.
And what platform was this on?
This was on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Focused completely on TikTok because that was like the thing that really gave me like an opportunity to really like blow up. And yeah, I went all in on that. And I think like what 3 months, 4 months later, I already had like 10 or 15 million followers. So it literally just kind of like did this and then kind of went here, and then 2019 happened and this skyrocketed. So it was crazy.
That does sound like an incredible journey. But one of the things I think it's interesting is that you were doing this as a teenager. So how did you manage all of that? Like, how did you handle like your money situation? How were you responsible for it? Like, did your family help you? Like, what was that like?
It was interesting. I mean, I lived with my parents at the time, and I was, I had a normal job of like I was a dance choreographer, so I was still maintaining like different types of jobs where I was like I was a tutor, I was a dance choreographer and teacher, and then I was also working with my dad at his embroidery shop. So I was doing like all these jobs to make sure I could still pay the bills or like help out or whatnot. And I think my parents were pretty supportive. They weren't completely sure. They were just like, yeah, like you can try it, but I don't feel like a lot of people understood, especially my family. Everyone was kind of just like trying to kind of direct me towards like make sure you go to college, oh this and that, and I think it was more of just based off of their own prior knowledge of what they thought worked, but no one really understood what social media was. But I felt like I did, and I felt like, if they were, and this was like no disrespect to them, but this was just like if they weren't in the position I wanted to be in, I wouldn't take their advice as seriously as I would like, towards like someone that is in a position that I wouldn't want to be in, basically. So I would constantly listen to like podcasts, audiobooks, all these things from successful people, and kind of like try to soak in as much information as possible, because I really wanted to like, yeah, just take it to the next level. And I just felt like there was something that was there, and yeah, it was something I didn't let break me down. I had a lot of friends in the dance scene that kind of like believed in it as well, and they were also trying to push for themselves, and it kind of, I found my people as well as through social media, and we kind of just like stuck together through there in that realm, and it kind of made things for sure like a lot easier.
What do you think it was in you as such a at a young age that made you want to go the entrepreneurial route? What was it that like terrified you or disgusted you or gave you that like guttural feeling that a 9 to 5 sounds like the worst idea ever?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a mix between, I think it's my parents for sure. Like the innate trait that my parents have, they were both like entrepreneurs, and they both owned like different types of businesses, whether it was like a cell phone business or like a nail business or all of these different things. And I think one side of it is I saw that and I was like, oh, that's dope. Like they're business owners, they're bosses, That was kind of like that one side of me. And the other side of me was like I knew they were also working for themselves, where like they were technically doing a 9 to 5, but they're for themselves. And it was kind of both of those things where I was just like, I don't necessarily want to do that. But if I'm gonna work on something, and I feel like these things stuck to me, if I wanted to work on something, I'd rather work on something I'm like happy doing than doing something I'm miserable doing. And I always felt that. So I was always an opportunistic person. So when social media happened, that was like it was a no brainer.
When did YouTube come into the picture?
I mean, YouTube has always been in the picture for me. I would say ever since it started, like I was an early watcher of YouTube. And then when I decided to go full in, I started posting on YouTube actually first on 2015, alongside all the other platforms like Instagram
Mm.
and Musically. But YouTube was also like that was like what I was really trying to focus on.
Did you say musically? So you were on like TikTok before TikTok?
Yeah, exactly.
At what point when you're analyzing what's happening with your social media stuff, how are you prioritizing where you spend your time specifically because you know it will have the best business impact?
I tried to do it as much as possible. I mean, I was still doing school and I was still having jobs, but like I think everything like it felt like an escape. So I really as much time as I possibly could. Like if I wasn't working, I was trying to choreograph to make a next dance video to post online, or I was editing for a YouTube video, trying to brainstorm different things. So I was like constantly on it.
You're doing all this stuff, you're creating all this content, you're dancing like crazy, all of the things happen. When does this become your full-time job? Like when are you not doing the stuff helping your parents' business, all and unless you maybe still are, all of those things. When does being a content creator, a YouTuber become the full-time focus and job for you?
I would say it started to dwindle down around 2018 because I started getting slightly larger brand deals. And I think the only job I had at that point was just being a dance choreographer, because it kind of went working together. Like I taught a class, I also posted that on social media. So it was kind of both that I had. And then once 2019 happened in September, when the whole TikTok rise happened, that was when I went full in. Because yeah, my income skyrocketed. It was like almost like 1,000x. Like it was kind of like crazy how fast everything happened.
In 2019, when you started to like go all in on TikTok, you said your income skyrocketed. What was the income streams? Like what was it that was paying you?
Straight brand deals. It was straight brand deals. And then because I had all the attention, it was also from YouTube. Both increased significantly, but I would say majority of it came from brand deals.
Talk to us about those brand deals. Like, what were some of the cool brand deals that you were able to get that were, like big goals that you were looking like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And how are they maybe different than other traditional brand deals that you see creators currently getting?
I would say back then people were trying to figure out the landscape of TikTok, and there was just kind of a crazy rise. Everyone understood the attention was on TikTok, so I feel like they didn't understand how to scale it. It was a kind of a new territory for them. So I feel like numbers were inflated. I feel like people were there was again less things to base stuff off, so there was a lot more experimentation. And yeah, I mean, all of the attention again was on TikTok because TikTok was like throwing so much money in marketing, so that all of these brands, they like, we need to be on this, like all these new creators, all these new opportunities, like this is where the attention's at. And it really was, and it was kind of an insane run. But I would say it was mainly that, a lot less competition compared to today. I feel like today's kind of culture is a lot of people are seeing that creators are doing making less of an impact, and they're trying to find more strategically like niche creators, or if it's not specifically niched, then they're doing like hundreds or thousands of creators, but they're micro influencers. So it was either like quality versus quantity, but now I feel like it's more quantity versus quality, possibly. I think it's a mix of the two, but it's definitely not like as much as it was before.
While you're going all in on TikTok, I'm guessing that like COVID had a big help and like the big rise of attention and everyone being inside and all of your dance content. I remember when TikTok had come into my world at the start of COVID, and it was a lot of like dance and music content, which is really helpful to help you like get through those hard times because it was really hard, and like being able to have something to look forward to and movement was really insightful and really helpful. But while all this is happening, what is the role YouTube is playing to support your creator journey?
I mean, YouTube was just where I was able to do. I mean, YouTube was still my north star, so I was trying to do anything I could to take advantage of the attention and push it onto YouTube and try new things. As a creator, I feel like it's so important to always evolve and always continue pushing the narrative of like where your journey is going to take you. So for me, it was like, okay, it was kind of like family style content. I started bringing my brothers into content, started doing prank videos, started doing more storytelling kind of videos essentially, and they all did really well. I even did gaming, that did well, and it kind of made me realize how much more opportunity I could be doing if I go into these different avenues. Because yeah, I was very big on experimentation, trying to figure out what could work for me, because I knew that everything didn't work for everyone. That was like a perfect time for me to kind of test out and test the waters, and I found out that a lot of the things I wanted to do ended up actually doing well. So that kind of set me up into figuring out like how many channels do I want to have, what kind of like things do I want to have for myself, so that maybe it's not vacation for me. Maybe it's like, instead of me being on my off time, I could just record this, and now this gaming content is technically work. So it was really cool kind of seeing all the different avenues I could possibly do. And fast forwarding years later to now, it's now where I'm just kind of figuring out which channels I want to direct my attention on. And yeah, it's just everything I want to do, I kind of set myself up for to be able to do now. And it's kind of just, yeah, whatever I want to do now.
So COVID allowed for you to expand beyond just Myco into the Shlu family channel and also with your gaming channel. So you have these three brands essentially that you are now juggling. How are you doing that? I want to know, like, I'm very curious, how logistically are you doing that? Because it's a lot to manage, especially too, because you've also got like your siblings and all the things that are going on with it. But I also love to know, like, after the logistical question is like, how do you do it with like all the business parts?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I'm not gonna lie. I think at this point I have a vlog channel, I have a gaming channel, I have a Schlub family channel, I have a main channel, and I have a academy channel. So these on top of my outside like regular things like working out or being in a relationship or a family man or all of these different things is kind of it's a lot to do. And even if I spent one day doing one thing, there's still other things to do. So I'm now having to basically be at this point where I'm prioritizing what's more important than the other. And this kind of goes into like what makes me happy versus also like what makes more money and what can basically sustain everything. So I would say I'm taking a step back from certain channels just at this current moment so that I'm able to hone in and really focus on like the things that I know can be really, really big. And I would say those things right now are the academy and my family channel. And from there, it's kind of like, since those are my main priorities, everything else, once these are built, I'll kind of come back to the other ones.
Okay. So let's talk about the business of all of those channels and stuff. How does the business of the Shlu family work? And also, especially because it's not just like you doing it, like it's your family business essentially. So how does that all work for you?
Yeah. The Schlub family is specifically, I mean, we do brand deals on that channel, but I would say to just maintain it, that isn't, I'd say, like a main income for me currently just because of my
Mhm.
bigger brand of myself. But it is something I'm trying to really hone in on and focus on so that eventually months down the line it's something that can sustain itself for my brothers and for my siblings and stuff. And yeah, as of right now is kind of just self-sustaining, and every time we post I just know it's kind of like we're back at square one almost, where it's like we just keep posting and then one day as we evolve and get better it's just gonna skyrocket again.
What's it like having a business with your siblings?
I think it's the greatest thing because I feel like as everyone gets older, they kind of distance themselves naturally from their family because of how much work is a play in their life. And
Mhm.
for since this allows us to all work on something together, and it's not something like where it's like we have to like plan out family time, which we still do, but it's not like we have to do this and like we all leave to go work and then come back. It's kind of cool where my family is able, like this is their work, so it's like we just kind of have fun. We have a lot of freedom of what kind of concepts we do, and I keep it very stress free for them where it's just like very fun ideas. And I think it's a cool experience because these are usually things I wouldn't just randomly do. It's like, hey, I'll do this game and I'll buy you whatever you build. And my siblings will literally have fun playing around using toys to build something, and then all of a sudden we go out and we make it an actual business and create content out of it. But I think if we didn't have that, we would be a lot less close than we are today, just because of all of that stuff. Because yeah, I'm very work focused, and yeah, I just know the opportunities here, so I think it's a cool balance for the both.
If your brothers and sisters are anything like my children, they just want to hang with you and do whatever it is you're doing because they think that you're the coolest. I work a lot and I record a lot, and I will catch both of my children like walking around, like vlogging with their phones and taking pictures of things, all that kind of stuff. But as a mom, it puts me in this place too where it's like, I don't navigating the internet right now is really hard. What are you doing to keep them safe and also paying them?
Yeah, I mean they love Roblox. They like playing video games. So they're big video game players. I keep them safe by like I monitor who they talk to, like, and I monitor who they watch on YouTube as well. So it's really just kind of making sure that the content that they take in and then the people that they hang around is kind of right. And I kind of like I kind of do that myself, like green like that almost myself. I don't know how to, or I kind of filter that out essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, as time goes on with the channel, my goal is that I'll be able to kind of create. I'm talking to a couple different business people, but like creating what's it called? Different like business entities essentially where I'm able to pay them as employees and like stuff for like tax benefits and whatnot. It's still something that's new, but I'm trying to basically just set that up so that years down the line they'll have something that they can continue building themselves, and they'll have like whatever they want to get into, they'll be able to essentially.
And I think that that's really important. Like, I know that there was a lot of chatter last year that talked about like all these family creators and their kids hating it and not growing up and not having anything to show for all this stuff because it became the family business. I think it's important to set up foundational things to make sure that everyone is not, it's not just hey, you have a place to live, deal with it kind of a thing. But having something to build on, like fortune, I think that's a really smart thing that you're doing for them. And I love that they get to see you do that so that they can learn how to do that for themselves as well. One of the things that we do in this podcast that's a little different is we break down all the different income streams that you have as a creator business. So we've clocked out these different parts that we have. And so you make 20% of your income roughly from AdSense. And then you also make 70% though of your income, which you said is your biggest one, comes from sponsorships. I would
Mhm.
really love to know in today's era, like you've talked a little bit about like how brand deals were when 2015, 2019, 2020. How are brand deals working for you now? And what do they look like? And how are they different from what other people are doing?
I would say the brand deals now I'm trying to do honestly less of, just because I feel that it's hard as a creator to just fully rely on other people, and I've
Mhm.
never want to do that, and almost feels like this is somewhat like a 9 to 5 again, where it's like I'm working for other people or other brands, and it's obviously a thing that still works, so I'm paying the bills and constantly, like I'm doing what needs to be done, but I feel that in today's climate, with so much competition, with so much change happening, I felt it was really important to kind of shift my focus into something else where it's like I can own my own business. I can create my own things, have a lot more control with it. And that's why like I created like the She Love Dance Academy, where that can be my focus, where content can also be a side of promotion to build something else, and have
Mhm.
more of a sustainable income, opposed to something where it's like, because these brands, some of them will pay after 60 or 90 days, or there's going to be late things, and it's really hard to kind of balance your business when you're reinvesting in yourself and doing all these things, to kind of have this area of uncertainty. So I would say right now, like obviously, like brand deals are still great if they fit your brand. They fit your brand. Take get the bag, figure it out. But I would say long term, it is harder to just rely fully on that. And I would say to try to look into other ways to like own your own businesses and own your own clientele, your own followers. And I feel like that would be where everyone's focus should be if they have something to offer.
What do you think are the measuring sticks that a creator should meet in order for them to like create something that they can turn into a product, a service, or a business beyond sponsorship deals, AdSense, things like that?
If they have over 5,000 followers and they feel that they have something that they can offer that people want, if they're solving a problem, I think if they have those two things, there's no reason why they can't be able to do, or offer a service to benefit themselves. Because I've learned like you only really need like 1,000 loyal customers to really make a business happen.
Mm.
And I've been kind of studying what, especially in today's climate, like what loyal fans mean versus inflated fans, like like just like people who follow you versus people who will do anything for you. I think that's really important, especially in today's climate, just because there are so many people on social media, there's so many people, there's so many followers, there's so many everything. But how can you take advantage of those people in the good way? How can how can you take advantage of the attention that you have and kind of really grow that? And I think that it's having people look into what they're talented or what they're really good at, that people would want to learn from them, and
Mhm.
kind of go from there. So if it's a service, if it's a course, if it's one-on-one private lessons, there's so many things that people can do, that I feel like that's really where it has to kind of go towards. Just because, yeah, again, like if you don't, there's not really a certainty. If you stop posting or you stop doing this, like there's not really anything else that can come from it. So I think social media is more of a stepping stone for building your own things.
Couldn't have said that better myself. You have quite a few income streams that are very small percentages, but still noteworthy, including creator funds, physical products, and services. But one of the things I think is incredibly unique for you when it comes to how you've earned income is you actually did a funding round with GigaStar, who is the sponsor of our podcast. Walk us through the decision to use GigaStar to help you. Like, what did you need them for? And what was it about it that made you like and trust the product?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool because being able to sell a percentage to the fans or to anyone that believed in the overall like IP of what I was building, I thought that was really cool. To the funding itself, it was obviously a nice sum of cash that I was able to use to reinvest into the business that I felt like I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, because with bills or other things, I needed to make sure I would divvy out the right allocations of things. But having basically the raise happened, I was able to specifically focus like, okay, this is going to go towards a year's worth of salary for, a director, maybe hiring more people as an editor or all these things. It kind of just allowed me to do those things and speed up the process a little bit more than I could have if I didn't do it. So that definitely was like the main selling point for me. And I think that just the ease of use of how things were kind of like prepped from like starting, and how GigaStar was able to like kind of walk me through the process, and how everything is basically streamlined already. It made it really easy for me to want to do it. And I'll most likely definitely do it in the future again, actually.
That's good to know. Why do the funding versus just going and getting a loan?
I think it's a little bit easier to do for one, and then two, I feel that you're able to build a stronger community with that. I think it's a mix of the two. I still feel that loans are good, but I do also feel like there's less pressure when you have something like a fund like this, in the sense of like, obviously loans you have to pay back month by month, but more of the thing that GigaStar does is it's more of like a, you have people that basically trust you, and it's kind of like, instead of you just paying them back, you're paying them back in like effort and work, and like doing even more of what you believe in and what they believe in. So I think that there's more of an alignment there, and I would say that that's probably like the best thing about this one.
What have been the benefits? Like, because you did this funding round, what have you seen from doing that?
Aside from of course the cash, I think it's been able to be something where I can look more into the future and see the potential of like, if I do another raise, or how much more people I can have join because of like the first one doing so successfully, and how much I've grown after that. I think it's more of just like the opportunities of after, like the future of what it could be, basically.
What are you looking forward to when they do the secondary market?
I mean, that's honestly something I'm very curious of. I have no clue. I'm very interested to see how many people are wanting to kind of like trade around, because I know that's like another side of everything.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it in a long time, of course, because I feel like that was during like the whole NFT Web3 kind of craze. So I'm very curious how people react and respond to that as of today. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm excited to see how it works too, because being able to, the thing that makes what GigaStar does with their funding rounds is like, it's a set period of time, then like you're closed out. So like, as new investors come in or new fans come in of yours and like, oh, I missed out on this, the secondary market gives them this really cool chance to hopefully buy in at that time, which also then becomes like an income opportunity for the original investors and also for you as well, because you get to see that percentage as well. So it's going to be really cool to see like how that goes. I know that one of the things that happened from having the editor is that they had a case study about how, because you were able to hire an editor, which is something that you needed for the Shlu family to help you with consistency, you saw a really big uptick in your AdSense. What is it about consistency and having an editor that allowed for all of that to happen?
I would say, I mean, overall, I feel that consistency is very important for YouTube's growth and their algorithm. So I would say that being able to divvy off work to both the editor and the content director I had, like, it was able to allow me to work on other things I had going on while still maintaining what the Shilla family was building. Because the Shilla family isn't my main thing. Of course, I have my own brand, I have my own, the academy, everything that I'm trying to focus on. So having more people to hire so that I'm able to do more things was definitely like a major thing. Because I feel that if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have been able to even do the Shilla family at all at this point.
That's a huge thing. And I'm so grateful that you're able to get the solution to allow for that to happen, because the content's so fun and very family friendly. And I think that it's like you guys are like stepping into like what the next phase of your family's potential and brand can be. Because I think when you did your drop, you had 800,000 followers, and now you're up to almost 1.7 million. And so it's, consistency shows growth and shows views and shows money. I think that that's that direct correlation. Now, one of the things that you have said a couple times is you've talked about the academy. Now, you have this as a membership as your income stream at only 5% right now, but you also just launched this. Like, at the time of this recording, I think it's only like a month, 6 weeks old from when you've done it. So, talk to us about what you're doing with your academy and what role it's going to play in your future of your income.
Yeah, so what I'm doing with my academy is I realized like it started off with a poll asking my fans like what do they follow me for? All of it was mainly for dancing. And I was like, "Oh, like do you is it because you like enjoy watching it? It's because you want to learn?" And I was surprised to find out that majority of them wanted to learn for themselves. And it just felt like such a perfect business avenue for me. I was like, why have I never thought of this before? But I think it was the perfect timing of seeing the drought of social media and the brand deals happen and me trying to figure out other ways to be able to sustain the next year, 5 years, 10
Mhm.
years. It was really important for me to think about those things. So I would say that happened. So that kind of created more opportunities for myself of like, okay, what can I do? And the academy essentially came up. So the academy was something I brainstormed a couple weeks trying to figure out what I could really offer. And I essentially have two things, my standard and my elite version. So my standard is where people will essentially learn dance tutorials from me, dance lessons. They'll get opportunities of dance challenges where I'll essentially like collaborate with artists and make opportunities for dancers where if I make a and I host a challenge and people join and they, I end up having winners, those winners will have special prizes, either like cash prizes, shout outs on my social medias, which is, of course, like a lot of exposure for them. And then the last one being different opportunities, like if I fly them out and they dance on tour or if they join a music video from it, like having these opportunities that they typically wouldn't have is something that I'm really trying to push for that. And then for my elite members, they are the ones where I'm going to be giving them even more perks where I'll have a trend list for them where they can constantly have updated trends because I found as a dancer like it's a little bit hard to find what's trending if you're not constantly 24/7 on social media. So
Mhm.
I'm able to help them as a creator. I'm giving them master classes to teach them how to build their own brands on social media, teach them, basically just show them the ropes of what I do, and then one-on-one personal feedback where I can actually help them grow, giving them feedback just through my own lens. So
It really is an academy of learning, isn't it, for dance?
really the whole A to Z of anyone just wanting to learn how to dance versus someone who's already a professional dancer and they want to take it to the next level. That's kind of where I have encapsulating this entire academy. And the future of this, to answer your second question, is this is gonna be this is gonna be my main bread and butter. Like I want this to become damn near almost 80-90% of my income one day.
Okay.
I feel that with me focusing all of my content to build this and making really dope opportunities, it sets me aside apart from all the other creators and in the dance world and just in general for me to be able to do larger activations, push something that will both benefit me and the community. And yeah, like I want to become essentially like the Mr. Beast of dancing. And I feel like this is going to allow me to self fund my larger projects, collaborate with larger brands, and it's not just like brand collaborating with just Michael. It's a brand collaborating with the academy, building something larger and essentially just going from there. And yeah, and this becomes something where if I put all of my time and energy into it and the community is happy, everyone reaps the rewards. And I think that, of course, with memberships, that is the number of supporters is a direct correlation to how much money I get monthly. And
Mhm.
having that as a reliable, sustainable income would kind of shift my brain towards like instead of stressing out like, oh, what brand deals do I have to do next, or how can I reach out and like make sure like I pay these things and continue going. It's more of a, okay, that stress is gone. Now it's like, what can I reinvest and how can I build a bigger thing and a bigger experience? And all of a sudden, this bigger experience goes back into the academy. The academy grows larger, and it kind of becomes this cycle of like it's like a snowball effect. So that's like the overall arching idea for like what I want to do, and working with artists, working with different brands to build essentially like the dopest dance events and dance spectacles. That's what my entire focus is on from here on out, pretty much.
And I love that. What role does your YouTube channel play in supporting your academy?
Oh, it's gonna be massive. I have two channels that's gonna be focusing towards it. So one is gonna be the actual Love Dance Academy page, which is gonna be hosting like all the dance tutorials, the teasers, and the dance lessons that are gonna be free, and that's gonna be essentially free marketing for the academy itself. And then my main channel, which is of course focused around my dancing as well, that's gonna be more of my spectacle things. Where if I get 5 people and I have them compete and I make it into a YouTube competition show that's going to be essentially sponsored by my own academy and promote itself as well, because these people are going to come from the academy. So these are the different opportunities. I'm tying everything in together, so it's all very like synonymous. People understand like if I want to have these opportunities, I need to join the academy. If I want to learn that, I need to join the academy. And it kind of goes back all into this. And the bigger that these platforms become, they're just larger marketers for the academy itself again.
I think that that sounds really cool. So I feel like you've already answered our final question, which is what is your next money move? It sounds like it's going all in on your academy and making that your number one priority. I'm going to tailor this question a little bit more to specifically to the Schlu family. What is the next money move for the Schlu family?
I think aside from AdSense itself, actually building a business, a product line, and it's essentially like a toy, something around in that realm. But I feel that with my platform, with the marketing and knowledge I know, I'll be able to essentially have this be blown up and kind of reach this out. So I'm hoping for the next thing is going to be this next project I release, most likely Q3 or Q4 of this year.
Awesome. Well, we'll have links to everything that Michael and his family are doing in our show notes over at thefundedYouTuber.com. Thank you so much for your time today, Michael. What you're doing is truly amazing, and we look forward to continuing to following you. Until next week, go make that money. Bye. The Funded YouTuber is brought to you by GigaStar, a parent company of GigaStar Market, an SEC-registered funding portal, and member of FINRA. Learn more at gigastar.io. Music provided by APM Music, unrivaled music to bring your stories to life. Neither GigaStar nor its affiliated companies provide legal, regulatory, financial, or tax advice. Any opinions expressed herein are those of the authors and are the informational purposes only. The information and opinions expressed herein are subject to change without notice and do not take into account the particular investments, objectives, financial situation, or needs of any specific investors.